This is the true story of a shipwreck where the sea was only the beginning of the nightmare. Stranded survivors soon discovered that the greatest danger wasn't the ocean, it was each other. A luxury merchant ship, a remote chain of islands, and one of history's bloodiest massacres among shipwreck survivors. In 1628, the Dutch East India Company launched its magnificent new vessel, the Batavia. From the bustling port of Texel, this was no ordinary voyage. Bound for distant, exotic lands, carrying over 300 crew and passengers, plus immense fortune in valuable cargo and silver coins, destined for trade in the East. The journey was anticipated to span several arduous months, a testament to vast distances and perilous seas. As the ship set sail, adventure and prosperity filled the air. Yet no one could have foreseen the unimaginable disaster that awaited them, a tragedy for maritime history. The hopes and dreams of hundreds were unknowingly sailing towards a fate more terrifying than any storm or pirate attack. June 1629 brought the Batavia to treacherous waters near the Houtman Abrolhos of Western Australia. Under the cloak of night, a sudden, violent jolt ripped through the ship. The Batavia struck a coral reef, its hull torn open with a sickening groan. Chaos erupted instantly. Panic-stricken crew scrambled to escape the sinking vessel. Frigid, churning waters claimed many lives before shore, their cries swallowed by the vast ocean. Survivors found themselves cast upon small, barren islands, devoid of fresh water or sustenance. The ocean, once a pathway to fortune, became a watery grave. The land offered little reprieve. Hundreds of survivors, battered and traumatized, were marooned on desolate specks of land. Utter desperation. Supplies were critically scarce. The harsh environment offered little hope. A move forever debated, Commander Francisco Pelsaert made the agonizing decision to sail away in a longboat with a select few. He left behind the majority of survivors, promising to return. This departure created a power vacuum, leaving the vulnerable community adrift, physically and morally. With the commander gone, leadership fell into dangerous hands, setting the stage for unimaginable horror. The thin veneer of civilization began to crack under immense pressure. Among the stranded, a sinister figure began to emerge. Jeronimus Cornelisz, the senior merchant. A man with a dark past, Cornelisz had allegedly been involved in an earlier mutiny plot during the voyage. With Commander Pelsaert's departure, Cornelisz seized the opportunity, swiftly consolidating power. He began to systematically isolate anyone he perceived as a threat, anyone who might challenge his authority. His charisma, combined with the survivors' fear and vulnerability, allowed him to establish a terrifying dominion. He preyed on their despair, twisting their hopes for rescue into a tool for his own malevolent agenda. The seeds of mutiny, once merely a whisper, now blossomed into a full-blown reign of terror on the isolated islands. Under Cornelisz's chilling command, the desperate struggle for survival transformed into a systematic campaign of murder. To reduce mouths to feed and eliminate opposition, Cornelisz ordered the systematic killings of innocent men, women, and children. The methods were brutal and varied. Victims were stabbed, drowned, or left to perish on isolated islets, their pleas for mercy falling on deaf ears. These horrific acts continued for weeks, turning the once hopeful survivor camps into a landscape of fear and despair. The psychological toll on those who witnessed or were forced to participate in these atrocities was immense. The very fabric of humanity unraveled under the tyrannical rule of one man. The islands, once a symbol of escape, became a stage for unspeakable horrors. Amidst the pervasive terror, a glimmer of hope emerged. A group of soldiers, led by the resolute Weeb Hayes, had been sent to another island in search of water. Far from succumbing to the same fate as others, they not only discovered a vital source of fresh water, but also organized themselves into a formidable defense force. When Cornelisz's followers, emboldened by their previous successes, launched an attack, Hayes and his men met them with unexpected resistance. In a series of fierce skirmishes, they successfully repelled the mutineers, marking a pivotal moment in the unfolding tragedy. For the first time, the murderers faced organized opposition, a challenge to their absolute power, and a beacon of defiance against the encroaching darkness. This small band of soldiers became the last bastion of hope. Months after the initial shipwreck, a sail appeared on the horizon. Commander Pelser had returned. The sight of the ship brought a surge of relief, but it was quickly overshadowed by the horrifying truths. They recounted the atrocities, the murders, and the reign of terror orchestrated by Cornelisz. Crucially, Weeb Hayes's group managed to warn the rescuers before the mutineers could seize control. This timely intervention prevented an even greater catastrophe and allowed Pelser to understand the full scope of the horror. The massacre was finally brought to a halt, but the scars left on the survivors and the islands would remain forever. With the mutiny quelled, Cornelisz and his key accomplices were swiftly arrested. A formal investigation commenced immediately on the islands, a grim tribunal held amidst the very scenes of their crimes. The evidence was overwhelming, and multiple mutineers confessed or were convicted of their heinous acts. In a stark display of justice, several of the most culpable were executed on the islands themselves, making these among the earliest documented European executions in Australia. Others were taken back to Batavia. The swift and brutal justice served on the remote islands underscored the severity of their crimes and the desperate need to restore order and humanity after such profound depravity. The full scale of the Batavia tragedy is almost incomprehensible. Of the more than 300 souls who embarked on that ill-fated voyage, only a fraction survived. Historians estimate that over 100 survivors were brutally murdered by their fellow castaways. This makes the Batavia Massacre one of the worst cases of human violence and depravity. It stands as a chilling testament to how quickly civilization can crumble under extreme conditions, revealing the darkest aspects of human nature when law, order, and hope are stripped away. The numbers speak volumes of the suffering and the profound loss of life. Centuries later, the story of the Batavia continues to captivate and horrify. Archaeologists have since recovered the wreck of the Batavia and countless artifacts, bringing tangible pieces of this dark history to light. The tale has become the subject of extensive research, inspiring numerous books, documentaries, and museum exhibitions around the world. It is remembered not merely as a shipwreck, but as a profound and chilling example of how quickly civilization can collapse. The Batavia serves as a powerful reminder that the greatest horrors are not always wrought by nature's fury, but by ordinary people when law, order, and humanity disappear. A ship lost to the unforgiving sea, a group of survivors, their hope fading with each passing day, and a man who transformed a desperate struggle for survival into a terrifying reign of terror. The Batavia Shipwreck Massacre reminds us that sometimes the greatest horrors are not created by nature's forces, but by ordinary people when the very foundations of law, order, and humanity are stripped away. More than 390 years later, the remote islands of the Houtman remain a silent, windswept witness to one of history's darkest survival stories, an enduring echo of human depravity and the fragility of civilization. The tale of the Batavia is a cautionary one, a stark warning from the past that continues to resonate today.